Hi, and welcome to my channel, or greetings if you're here for the first time. My name is Nikki, and today I wanted to talk about a subject that I'm really into, and that is Korean musicals. I'm a musical theatre fan of many years, and just in recent times, I've come to love Korean musicals as well because of my developing interest in Korea, the language and the culture, after starting to learn Korean after I fell in love with K-drama. So, in terms of Korean musicals, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a brief overview. Now, my knowledge is just what I've managed to ascertain, so there may be some inaccuracies, and if there's anything I say that's not quite right, feel free to correct me in the comments. But initially, I just want to say the sort of history of Korean musicals. From what I've been able to make out, they kind of started around the 1960s with movie musicals. And it was really only in the late 70s, early 80s that stage musicals started to be produced. And this began some original musicals, but also they began to get licenses to put on translated versions of some of the big shows from the West End and Broadway. So Phantom of the Opera, I think, was around 2001, something like that, the first time it got put on, followed by Les Miserables and others. However, I'd say it's really through the sort of 2000s onwards, so the last sort of 20 to 25 years, that musicals have become more and more popular in Korea. So, what are some of the differences between the sort of West End and Broadway shows and Korean musicals? I think the most obvious thing to talk about is the casting. Now, you will sometimes get star casting in English language musicals. However, for the most part, you have musical theatre specific actors and actresses, some of whom may become quite famous. Thinking of people like Patti LuPone or Bernadette Peters, Mandy Patinkin. However, the emphasis is really on theatre actors and singers. In Korea, this is a little bit different because a lot of the shows are triple or even quadruple cast. And these cast members sometimes are musical theatre actors. For example, my favourite Korean musical theatre performer is John Don-sok, and he is a purely musical theatre actor. However, there are various other actors who do musicals in Korea who are also either TV or film actors, or who have come from a K-pop background. There are quite a few K-pop idols, whether current or former, who also do musicals. So they might release an album at the start of the year, do a musical in the middle of the year. And because of this, the competition for tickets tends to be quite high because the performer you want to see is only on maybe 3 shows a week, 2 or 3 shows a week. And when the tickets go on sale, they tend to announce them online about 2 or 3 weeks or so before they go on sale. And they will tell you at that point who is performing on which day for a sort of period of 3 or 4 weeks that they're about to release tickets for. And when the tickets go on sale, you have to hop on quick and try and get the tickets for the performance you want to see with the star actor that you're trying to get to view. When I booked for Phantom of the Opera in Seoul in 2023, I was online the second tickets opened, and I was 9,500 and something in the queue. It was so popular, and I did manage to get tickets, luckily. There was only one day I could go with the actor I wanted to see, John Don-sok, performing, and luckily I did manage to get seats. But it can be quite a daunting prospect depending on the popularity of the show and the performers that you're trying to book for. They also have a lot more merchandise. Now, big shows in England will have merchandise, of course, the t-shirts and that, and key rings and the like. If you think Phantom of the Opera, Les Miserables, The Lion King. However, small musicals will generally only sell the program or perhaps a t-shirt. But however, in Korea, even small shows that are only running for sort of 2, 3 months at a tiny venue will still have a huge range of merchandise available. And I would say the programs in Korea are awesome. If I think about how much I paid for a program for Chicago here in Australia last year, I think it cost me $25, $30. And this program was barely 20 pages long. A few pictures, but mostly some ads and things like that. There wasn't much to it. I paid $15, $16 equivalent for my program for Phantom of the Opera in Korea. And it's a thick book, like this thick, full of color photos, information, and all their programs are like that. So I absolutely love their programs. So, what sort of musicals do they put on in Korea? As I've mentioned, there's a mix of homegrown musicals and original musicals, and the translated versions of very popular English language shows and Japanese shows. So, you do get the big tours. So at the moment, as I'm filming this, there's about a 6 month run of, I think it's the 20th anniversary production for Korea of Jekyll and Hyde, which is obviously a big Broadway initially musical by Frank Wildhorn. And that's very popular in Korea. It comes back every few years with a new production. But at the same time, there are some very popular shows that have been written for Korea. So thinking of some of the musicals like Matahari, and also the smaller shows. So what I'd also like to mention is there's a lot of theatres in Korea, tons of them. Performing arts is a really big thing in South Korea, which is wonderful. So there are a huge number of theatres to pick from. So some of them were made particularly for musicals. The Charlotte Theatre, for example, I think was built just to put on musicals. But there are various other huge venues like Blue Square as well. However, that's not the only option. As well as these big venues and huge concert halls, there is various medium-sized theatres. Gwanglim Arts Centre, for example, where I saw Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder last year, and also the university area of Dahangyo. And in Dahangyo, there's something like 100 odd theatres, just tiny, small venues, a few hundred seats. And there's a huge mix of shows that go on in these venues, not just musicals, but also, comedy and drama and dance and things as well. And it's an absolutely fantastic place to go. It's got a great atmosphere, and there's so much you can see and do there. Now, if you wanted to go and watch a Korean musical, and you are booking from abroad, you can book through various global sites for, Interpark and Yes24 and things like that. You will often have to give passport details and such if you're booking through these global sites because they're trying to put a stop to some of the, ticket scamming and reselling that's been going on. So that's one thing to bear in mind. But you can definitely book these tickets in advance. And if you're booking for a big major production with huge stars in, as I mentioned, you need to keep an eye on some of the social medias to see when these tickets are going on sale and who's going to be performing when. However, if you're in Seoul, you can also just rock up on the day. If you're really desperate to see a particular actor in a big show, I wouldn't recommend this because you can't guarantee what tickets will be available. However, if you just feel like going to see a musical in Dahangyo, just go to the area on the day at Maronia Park, sorry. There's an information centre where you can get some help if you need it. Otherwise, you just go to the venues about an hour before the show. The box office is open, and you can just book any seats that are left on the day. And this is a really quick and easy way to get the tickets. So a few of my favourites that I've seen, obviously I did see the huge production of Phantom of the Opera with John Don-Sok, which was wonderful to see him live for the first and so far only time, as he's my favourite. But I've also seen some other wonderful shows, and I've done a mixture of booking in advance and booking just turning up on the day. I really love the production of Thrill Me, which is another English language show which has had sort of a few good productions in America and around the world, but is hugely popular in Korea. I think it really suits the Korean market because they have a lot of handsome young men in the roles, which attract the young female crowds. And they put Thrill Me on a new production nearly every year, and it runs for 3 months or so each year. So that's been a favorite of mine as well. And if you want to get a bit of a feel for Korean musicals without going to Seoul, or if you can't go to Seoul, YouTube usually has a bit of footage. Now, the things to look for, it's best if you can search in Korean, just search the word musical, in Korean, musical, or you can search musical Sitzprobe. So Sitzprobe is the rehearsal with the orchestra, so no costumes, no set, just sitting in the rehearsal room. And these are often put up available by the production companies for free to watch on YouTube. If you want to go one step further and see some of the set and costumes, they also often release a lot of footage of the press calls. Again, just search for musical press call, and you will find some. And that's when the reporters are invited in to take a bit of a look at the show before it officially launches. And again, they often officially upload some of this footage that you can see. So check it out, see if your favorite musical has had a Korean production, and I hope you'll find some music that you enjoy. I'll end there for now, but I look forward to speaking to you all again in another vlog soon. Bye for now, everyone.